Is everybody ready in the room? And we'll go live. Okay, thank you, Simon. Good morning, members, officers, and any members of the public who are viewing the live stream. Welcome to this meeting of South Cambridgeshire District Council Planning Committee on the 13th of August 2025. My name is Councillor Anna Bradnam, and I'm the chair of this committee. Members, please would you introduce yourself? Councillor Fain.
Peter Fain, Shelford Ward and Vice Chair of the committee.
Councillor Handley.
Hello, I'm Bill Handley, member for the villages of Over and Willingham.
Can I just ask members, we've got the fans going full whack to keep us nice and cool. So can you bring your microphone, everybody who speaks, can you bring your microphone close? Don't just rely on it being a microphone. Do please project so we can all hear what everybody's saying in the room and online. Councillor Sandford.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Councillor Peter Sandford, one of the members for Caxton and Papworth Ward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Corin Garvey.
I'm councillor for Girton, Graduation and Madingley wards.
Thank you very much. Councillor Batchelor.
Morning, Henry Batchelor, one of the members for the Linton ward.
Thank you. At the moment, we have a number of members not here yet because the full committee hasn't started yet, or we're doing a developer presentation. I'll just introduce the people at the top table. So, Ms. Rodens.
Jane Rodens, Area Development Manager.
Thank you. And we have, you're presenting.
Hi, I'm Alice Young. I'm Principal Planning Officer at Go to Cambridgeshire Planning.
Thank you. Vanessa?
Good morning, Chair, everyone. I'm Vanessa Blaine. I'm the Principal Planning Lawyer.
Sorry, Vanessa is the Principal Planning Lawyer, in case you couldn't hear. We have Sarah Steed, who's our Committee Manager for today. Thank you, Simon.
Sarah Steed, Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you. And Simon, King of the Air Conditioning Unit, is producing for us today. Thank you very much. Right, so those in the chamber are reminded that this meeting, and including the developer presentation, are being live streamed. By your presence here in the chamber and via video conference, you're deemed to have consented to being filmed and the use of images and sound recordings for a webcast and archived recording. May I ask those who are joining us remotely to ensure that their camera and microphone remain off unless they are addressing the committee. If a member arrives after the start of an application or leaves the chamber once an application has commenced, they will not be able to take any further part in the application, either by entering into the debate, questions of clarification, or the vote. Now, the first thing we have, I'm going to leave all the rest of the aspects of the normal agenda until after the developer briefing. So we have a briefing today, thank you very much, I'm sorry I couldn't come and see you earlier, on the Babraham Research Campus, which is an outline application for development proposals at Babraham Research Campus to include all sorts of things which I'm sure they'll explain. And I'm sure you'll introduce yourself as you make your presentation. So please do go ahead. You have 20 minutes and then we have 20 minutes to ask questions. Thank you. And I'll remind members about the protocol for that after you've given your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, and we're very grateful for the opportunity to present to you this morning. My name is Stuart Hay. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Babraham Research Campus. For simplicity, you're just going to hear from myself briefly, and they're predominantly from Duncan Ray from North Architects. But we have the rest of the design team here with us, either in the room or available online if you have any points of clarification or questions that you want to ask. Babraham Research Campus has a long history associated with scientific research associated with improving human health. That's its main focus. The campus itself has a unique position in the life sciences sector because we focus on the startup and the early stage companies that are beginning their research into life sciences. We also, the campus is specifically set up to support those sorts of businesses. So we have all sorts of facilities and services available on the campus to help small businesses start at the very start of their innovative journey. The campus also plays an important role in the wider life sciences sector. So we have a very strong role to connect companies on the campus itself, but we also play a very significant role in connecting the Cambridgeshire and the South East nationally and internationally life sciences. It has a long-standing reputation at being the forefront of that. We're also very proud to have established a very strong community relationship with our wider community around the campus area. We're very proud of that. We've worked very hard to establish that, and it remains a key part of this proposal as well. Lastly, the preservation and the enhancement of the physical environment has been and is a very important part of what the Mayburn Research Campus is all about, and that is why it's at the forefront of our design. I'm going to hand you over now to Duncan, who's going to take you through the proposal in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Like the proposal outline, we're applying for outline planning permission for employment floor space consisting of laboratory and office accommodation, up to 83 residential dwellings, together with that supporting community uses, social infrastructure, nursery and shop stroke cafe and other community facilities, and a mobility hub stroke car park. And along with that, which is a very important element of the scheme, associated landscaping, demolition and infrastructure works. The proposal aligns with the adopted and draft emerging local plans, and is also in the draft allocation for removal from the green belt in the current local plan. As we develop the scheme, we have focused very much on the 4 C's of community, connectivity, climate and character. I won't go into these in detail now. You've seen the presentation in advance. But in terms of community, one of the key things is we want to open the campus up to the wider community. Currently it's an enclosed campus. From a connectivity point of view, we're looking strongly at sustainable transport solutions and how we can reduce car travel to the campus and within the campus. From a climate point of view, we naturally want to create a development with high sustainability credentials, and from a character aspect, it's important that we respond to the natural and historic setting of the campus. As we develop the proposals through the last 12 months, we've engaged in a continuous process of engagement, including 2 community engagement events for the campus users and also for the wider community. We've also had 2 presentations to the design review panel, one before Christmas and one last month, and this is our second members briefing to yourselves. As well as that, there have been 5 pre-app meetings with the local authority planning officers and a whole series of different workshops. Coming out of that, we've developed, taken cognizance of the feedback we've received, particularly from the community, and looked at the benefits that we can provide and the campus can provide to the wider community. And those come under 4 headings: access to the campus, which, as I already mentioned, includes opening up the campus to the public, which includes the parkland, the gardens, amenities within the campus, such as the restaurant, bar, cafe area, and events that occur within the campus and might occur within the campus in the future. We're also looking at additional amenities for both the campus and the village in the form of things like a shop and a cafe, and a larger preschool nursery to serve the increased requirement. From a landscape point of view, this focuses very much on extension of the parkland, links to riverside walks, wayfinding, and generally making the attractive environment of the campus more available to the campus users and also to the wider community. And then Bayham also provide, and will continue to provide, various community outreach benefits, such as education and skills programs, apprenticeships, engagement with local schools and higher education, work placements, and public art programs. There's a whole series there of community outreach benefits. Sustainability is naturally at the heart of what we're doing. We're looking to go significantly beyond national and local sustainability policy requirements. We're looking at alignment with the UK Net Zero Building Standard, providing nature-based solutions for biodiversity and green spaces, a creation of community, sense of place and identity and social value, and minimising the use of potable water with grey water and rainwater recovered for reuse, along with a whole series of other measures that are outlined in a very detailed sustainability strategy document that's been prepared as part of the planning application. So the outline planning application has already been mentioned. The new build elements focus on three elements of the campus, which we're calling the R&D expansion neighbourhood, the central campus and the close. But as part of the proposals we're developing the application, we've looked at a wider master plan for the campus as a whole to look at how the new buildings can sit within the existing campus setting, how we can link the new buildings and the existing buildings together better, how we can resolve car parking and access issues. A few key points of the scheme we're developing are from an accessibility or connectivity point of view, we're looking at developing a mobility hub, which is the purple building you see in the top left there, which would be an arrivals building where car parking will be located, and there'll be an arrivals and departure point where people can leave from there on electric buses, scooters, and so forth to move around the campus. That building enables us to remove a large area of existing car parking that's currently within the centre of the campus alongside the access road, and which is very dominant in the landscape and in front of the hall, because those spaces will be relocated into that mobility hub, which frees up that whole area for extended landscaping. The concept being the parkland will extend across the existing access road into the existing and new buildings, and the existing access road will have the feel of a parkland drive approaching the hall. In terms of the buildings themselves, looking at the R&D expansion neighbourhood there, the key elements there are visibility, a rural setting. We're looking at locating buildings to create spaces between the buildings, views between the buildings, and to ensure that the buildings sit within existing and enhanced tree belts to reduce the visibility from distance. Within the centre of the campus, it's all about the heritage of the campus and how we can locate buildings to enhance and preserve views of the existing historic buildings, how we can create new linkages and create a heart to the campus. And then within the close, which is the existing residential element of the campus, we're looking to redevelop the close to provide new state-of-the-art high-quality housing and increase the number of housing provision to suit the new increased demand, as well as providing the new nursery and amenities for the village. So the proposals aren't all about new space. We are looking to demolish a number of buildings within the central area and in the close. So in the central area there you can see within orange there's a number of buildings, and the photographs there on the right show those. A number of substandard buildings, both visually and functionally. There's also a very large car park there, which you can see in the top right corner photograph. And there are also some service buildings in pink there as well. The proposals are to remove all those substandard buildings to create space for new development that is more in keeping with the setting and more respectful of the historic environment, and creates more space for new landscaping and access routes and so forth throughout the campus. In terms of where the buildings go and the heights, we've established a series of parameter plans. Because this is an outline application, these are parameter plans that show zones where buildings could be located. Those are positioned to, as I say, allow views between buildings, to position buildings in locations where they have minimal impact on the historic fabric, and to indicate what heights those buildings should be. Generally speaking, the heights of the buildings will be in line with the existing heights of buildings on the campus. We've done an extensive LVIA assessment which confirms the visibility of these buildings, or lack of visibility of these buildings from a distance in terms of where they're orientated and the existing enhanced tree belts that will go around them. The red squares indicates where flues could be located, and again the idea is they will be grouped in positions that provide least visibility from a distance. Movement and access, I've already touched on the mobility hub and how that will be accessed, and there's also the fact that the public bus service, the intention is that will come off the roundabout and drop off at the mobility hub. Moving from that mobility hub, we then have new cyclist and pedestrian routes running north and south of the campus, to the north alongside the existing access road through the newly enhanced landscape space, which will provide cycle and footpath access all the way down through into the campus to the central area and linking existing and new buildings together, and then further walkways along by the river, which will provide a riverside walk linking across the campus to the access routes to the south. We're also providing two new river crossing bridges, which will be in the location of existing former bridges across the river where there's already foundations. This will enable the campus to be linked more strongly with the area south of the river and give benefits in terms of use of public footpaths, informal footpaths and trails within the land south of the river. And because we're opening the campus up to the public, that area will then become available to the general public for walks and so forth. Landscape and green infrastructure, I already touched on the extension of the parkland across the access road and into the campus. The fact that we're creating green corridors of space between the new buildings in the R&D expansion zone there. To the left, you can see linking across through there between Suds Ponds down towards the river. There's a series of other corridors across both the existing corridors of landscape within the existing development and new ones, particularly in the centre of the campus, where at the moment there's not a very clear hierarchy of access and routes. It's very much an informal series of paths. We're looking to create an access of circulation along the campus, which will link all the buildings together, focusing on a new outside event space that can be used in the summer for people to sit down, have their lunch and have meetings, but also can be used for other events such as craft fairs, summer barbecues, Christmas markets, and all those sorts of things, barbecues, and that will then become available for the public as well because we're opening the campus up. From that, we're looking to link down through another series, a couple of spaces, a social growing garden to a riverside terrace, which is able to be created because we're demolishing an existing building down in that position, and then to the bridge and across to the river. So it all creates a linkage between the village, through into the parkland, through the campus, and down to the area south of the river. As I mentioned, there are three primary character areas: R&D expansion, central campus and the close. Each have their own characteristics. Touching on those briefly, the R&D expansion neighbourhood, photographs there of the existing setting. You can see the tree belt, you can see the open meadowland, you can see the views there from the roundabout, and there the photographs of the existing adjacent development R&D2, just sets the scene there. This area view shows a sketch of the indicative sketch of what we're proposing. Bear in mind this is the outline, so these aren't fully designed buildings. But you can see there the mobility hub stepping down in the top left-hand corner there, tucked in between behind the tree belt and the enhanced tree belt to the road, with a single story element on the side, which will be the arrivals building. The two new main buildings there are stepping down, following the natural contours of the landscape, which runs down from the roundabout towards the river. Between those is a terraced series of stepped landscape spaces with Suds Ponds, which creates an attractive heart to that element of the development, and also allows views through, both from south and north, through the development, and minimises the impact on the distant views as identified in the LVI assessment. Service yards are tucked to the opposite sides of the building, so they're discreetly located away from that. Because we've got a mobility hub, there'll be no vehicular traffic in that central area, apart from the need for the odd maintenance vehicle if there's a gutter needs some blocking or something like that. By stepping the buildings down, as you can see in this view here, this has the benefit of minimising the impact against the skyline, avoiding horizontal and strong continuous lines, and enables the buildings to sit down into the landscape.
Duncan, can I just check how many more slides you have?
A few more, a couple of minutes I think, haven't I? Yeah.
How many?
We've got a couple of minutes more yet.
Well, if you can,
Yeah.
just be aware.
Central campus is all about the heritage. You can see some views there of the heritage assets. The area view here shows how we're looking to set the new buildings away from the hall, soften their profiles, set them down in the landscape, and provide new landscape to the foreground where the existing car park has been removed, which allows views and access through and around and down to the river, as already mentioned, plus enhances views of the church. Views here from the front of the hall, you see the development in the background sitting down lower, the existing trees in the centre retained. From the front of the Cambridge building, the new access route through the buildings behind the landscaping. Views across the new public realm to the church in the distance. And views from the south of the river where the new building has been set back to open up views of the church and actually improve what are the current views. The close is very much about domestic style buildings set within the landscape, retaining existing trees, extending the parkland in the foreground there, you can see across towards the village with a new amenities building set within it. And then within the centre of that development, we're looking to reinstate a historic route that would have gone from the old lodge to the hall as a pedestrian route through the housing, which sits within that landscape, retaining existing trees. This is all going to be, these proposals are all going to be amplified with a design code which relates to the parameter plans. So as part of the application, there'll be a design code which lays down the requirements for all the elements that we've just discussed, linked with the parameter plans, which set a framework for the future development. And in terms of phasing, there's broadly speaking three potential phases of development. The first phase, which is mainly about enabling works, but also brings forward opening up of the campus, some of the amenities, but doesn't include any of the new buildings, includes demolitions, creation of landscaped areas. Phase 2 is mainly the R&D expansion neighbourhood and linking that to the centre of the campus. And then phase 3 consists of the central campus developments and the development of the close. But it's worth noting that these obviously these aren't hard and fast and will come forward as need and so forth demands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stuart and Duncan. Right, I'll kick off with the question first, but then members, can I remind you that any questions are questions for clarification. Vice Chair will take a note of the order, and you need to not express any views or preferences so as to avoid any conflict of interest later on. So my question is, and your last slide, I think, actually answered the question. It was, oh, this is a considerable redevelopment by the look of it, of the site. And so there was a question in my mind about how much of this is demolition of existing and replacement, and how much is this new build, and over what time frame do you envisage this happening? And I think on your last slide it indicated 15 years. So perhaps you could clarify that, please?
These are obviously very, very broad indicative timescales. But yes, to answer your points in turn, as you saw, there's a number of demolitions proposed within the central area. And the plan is to bring those demolitions forward within phase 1, which is predominantly an enabling works phase. We also want to bring some of the amenities forward then, because we recognise that's a very important part of the application. So getting rid of some of those old buildings, creating the new landscape is part of phase 1. We can't remove the car park then, because we can't do that until we build the mobility hub, because we need to do that too. And we can't build the mobility hub until we build the R&D buildings, because the funding will all be tied together. The second phase is then the R&D 2, the R&D expansion neighbourhood, which is new building, doesn't involve any demolitions. And that will involve all the infrastructure linking that back to the centre. And then within the phase 3, which is, as we said, 5 to 15 years, we've got the close and the central campus buildings and the finishing of the central campus. In terms of the close, that's when the demolition of the existing houses would
Yes.
take place, but that would be within a phase in its own right, because we don't obviously want to vacate the close, put people out of their homes. So there's a sequence phasing across that.
Yeah, so, but the whole thing you're envisaging is going to take something over 15 years or around that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Right, we have Councillor Peter Sandford.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Very pleased to see you've been involving the local community with the project from the outset. Just wondering, are there any aspects of the plans to date where the local community is pushing back, any disagreements?
I've been at both the community engagement events, and it's true to say there's been very little pushing back. There's been questions asked, a lot of questions about timescale, questions about are we going to lose our homes because they see there's a new housing development. We'll reassure people on that, and that they'll be phased, and that's not going to happen. For questions about are we going to have to pay for the car parking on the campus now, the answer is no. But it's true to say that there's been not really any pushback at all really on it from the community. I mean, the campus have kept the community engaged with what's going on the campus, but well beyond before this development. And Chris Chapman, the Director of Estates there, has regular meetings with the parish council, has a regular relationship with them, and they're generally very, very supportive of the campus. I think that's true to say, isn't it, Stuart?
Okay, good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Henry Batchelor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation, very detailed, and we appreciate that. Just I had a few questions around the usage of some of the elements of the proposal you're putting forward. So the new dwellings, you may have mentioned this, but am I right in thinking initially they're designed for the users of the campus rather than to go on public sale, is that right?
Not just initially, but they are for the campus use.
Solely?
Yes, the
Okay.
existing housing use of the campus, and these will all be for campus users.
Okay, understood. And a similar question around the amenities, so the shop, the gym, etc. I mean, I'm guessing predominantly they'd be for use for users of the campus, but I think you then also mentioned that the local village, Babraham residents would be able to access that as well. Is that right?
I think in terms of things like the shop and the cafe, it's complete joint use. There's recognition that the village doesn't have a shop, doesn't have any facility like that. The campus doesn't have a facility. To build a shop and a cafe just for the campus probably wouldn't be financially viable. Probably isn't for the village, that's why there isn't one. But if you bring it all together within the development, it becomes a viable proposition. It's located in a position where it's easily accessed by all. So it's completely, whoever wants to use it, there's not a priority.
Okay, and the actual campus themselves, they're on board with that, i.e. members of the public accessing the site to use these amenities?
Yes, I mean, there's been part of the consultation process, people making aware of that. Okay. So yes.
Yeah, okay. And then very quick one, so the buildings that you're planning to remove, are any of those listed or protected or in the curtilage of buildings that are?
No, they're not.
No, okay. That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Batchelor, and for your answers. And Councillor Peter Fane.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for the presentation. I should say I attended one of your community events. I thought it was very well run, and I spoke to some of the people there, and as you say, there is a lot of community support for, in general, what you're doing. I recognise this is just a pre-app presentation in relation to the outline, and that quite a few matters will be reserved matters. But on the other hand, we're talking about a phasing over 15 years. I was particularly interested in what you said on climate and your proposals to align with net zero standards. Now, there are, of course, a lot of different standards. As a committee, we tend to engage more with BREEAM, for instance. I don't know whether at this stage you're considering what your ambitions might be, bearing in mind that, for instance, we will be considering much more about heat as an issue than we have been, in solar gain. Do you have any particular ambitions at this stage? Can you define them? Or do you want to come back to that at a later stage when it might be more appropriate?
One of my colleagues, Simon Wyatt from Cundall, pick up.
Yep.
So who is speaking?
Simon Wyatt from Cundall, Sustainability Consultant.
Great, thank you, Simon.
So as part of the design code, which Duncan mentioned, which will go to the developers, we've got a number of requirements which we've included for all elements of sustainability, including carbon. So we have a requirement for all of the non-domestic buildings to be BREEAM, as you say, but we're also looking to align to the new UK net zero
Sorry,
carbon.
Simon, would you just pause for a moment? We've got the fire test going on,
Sorry.
which is normal. Don't worry. Thank you. And just for those in the room, the lights continue to flash for a bit, so please, that's okay. Sorry, Simon, do go back a little bit. You said all your non-domestic buildings were going to be BREEAM.
Yeah, so in the design code, there's a requirement for all the non-domestic buildings to be BREEAM certified. And then we have given guidance in terms of design parameters for the different types of building, including insulation and ventilation requirements for heating and cooling, looking at solar gains and requirements for looking at future weather files, because we know overheating will be a predominant issue as we go forward. And it will need to be designed into the code. So the code has got quite a comprehensive set of requirements for the developers, but we've kept it loose because we know that this area will evolve over the next 15 years. So we've gone with what we think is the best today and given them guidance that's open enough that they can adopt new standards as they come in over the next 15 years.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Fain has a follow-up.
That's very helpful. And as you say, the code, the environment for this may change, but you refer to BREEAM. A lot of developers are going for BREEAM Excellent. The challenge is often meeting BREEAM Outstanding. Do you have any ambitions in that regard?
Yeah, so the code at the moment has a requirement that the non-domestic buildings are minimum of excellent with an aspiration for outstanding, and the work that we've done in the designs are aligned to outstanding at the moment, but that's an aspiration within the code, with excellent being the minimum.
Great. Thank you very much. Councillor Dr. Toomey Hawkins.
Thank you, Chair. I'm through you. Thank you for your presentation. I've got two questions. I think I'll start with, just following on from the last one. You mentioned about landscape development, but you didn't mention anything about what you were aiming for in terms of biodiversity net gain. Are you aiming for the usual minimum, or are you being...
We're aiming for the minimum of 10%, but our aspiration is 20%. And we're very confident of getting 20%.
Do you think you'll be able to do that on site?
Got loads of space.
We actually have a biodiversity net gain assessment that's just been completed, and that does confirm that 20% is now achievable as part of the application.
On site?
Yeah, within our blue line, within the control of the applicant.
Thank you. Second question is on the housing. Good to see you are thinking of housing, and you've said it's for the use of the campus itself. Now, is it for all those who'll be working on it, from your cleaner to the top person, or is it just for a section of the users of the site? Thank you.
So it is, the accommodation is targeted for employees that work on the site, and all employees that work on the site. There is reasonable demand for those houses, so there has to be a selection process, but there isn't a preference, if you see what I mean with that. It's done on a need basis and also a size basis. So one person might need a single occupancy facility which is available, and then there may also be a family that requires a 3-bedroom facility. So that's how it will be established, but it's open to everybody that's on the site.
I can just add to that as well, that we have done a housing needs survey as part of the application to make sure we're clear about the needs of the staff, and that has informed our proposals, and we will be providing a certain element, 40% at a discounted market rent, which is the equivalent of your affordable private rent, to make sure we're meeting the needs of all employees at all salary levels.
Thank you. While we're on housing, can I come back and ask you, I believe there are a number of people living there currently, are there not? So what are your plans for managing the current residence arrangements? And presumably I don't know if they are people who currently work on site or not, and what's happening there?
Yeah, so they were an important group that we wanted to make sure we attracted to the consultation events that we mentioned previously. So they're effectively their internal community, if you see what I mean, but we wanted to make sure that they had a chance to understand the wider development proposal, and to reassure them that the motivation for doing it was actually to improve the housing stock itself, because we recognise it's not the best quality housing stock, but also to reflect the demand not only now, but also into the future in terms of what we anticipate, the types of family sizes and the number of different types of dwellings that we think we need, but also to reassure them that there would be an intelligent phasing to that work, so that we would find a way of allowing people to have got to the end of their term, or have built the new facilities for them to move into before we demolish the old, if you see what I mean. So there would be a considered transition and phasing, as Duncan alluded to. There'd be a mini phasing specifically associated with the residential development.
And will that phasing include the fact that residents in those houses, if they leave their job, they know they're leaving their house as well? Does that?
So that provision
already
exists.
Is that already sort of a thing that you have to handle?
That's right. That's already an element of how we manage it at the moment. So there is a relationship between the employment and the accommodation. So you have to be employed to have the accommodation. So that relationship already exists.
So anybody approaching retirement would already be planning for moving elsewhere?
They would already know that their time in that house is coming to an end, and they're already making plans accordingly.
That, of course, will help with the phasing, because if somebody leaves, then that house will be left vacant as to enable that to be demolished as well.
I can appreciate your need to manage that, particularly as some of it's being demolished. So obviously that's going to need requirement. Okay, I can't see any more questions. Oh, sorry, Councillor Fane, did you want to come back?
Yes, I think we have time. I just wanted to follow up both of those questions. On the housing, the close.
The existing housing, there's 40 dwellings, which are a mixture of different sized houses and flats. The proposal is for 83 dwellings, mixture of 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom properties.
Got it. I want to get the term right, the mobility hub, yes. And you mentioned that some arriving by car might, for instance, get an electric bike for continuing around the campus, which is already quite a large campus. You probably have some knowledge of where your current employees or those employed on the site live, where they're coming from, and how they get to work. And this is quite a big building. I think it's the one building that is 4 stories with a basement, isn't it? So this looks like quite a lot of cars. I won't ask the numbers at this stage. But to what extent do you see it as part of this 15-year programme to look at how your employees get to work, how to enable them to get to work reasonably cheaply and easily via more sustainable means of transport, rather than parking in the hub when they get there and moving to sustainable transport afterwards?
Thanks. Lee Stolworthy, Stantec, transport consultant. I think so. There's a blend of approaches for achieving the sustainable transport vision for the site. We've had very constructive conversations with Stagecoach about bringing the X13 and the 13 and 13A into the site to interface with the mobility hub. So there's a public transport option direct into the site. We've done camera surveys at the entrances, so we know how many people are coming in. We know that the parking is underutilised at the moment. There's a massive oversupply of parking on the site at the moment, so there are quite a few people coming by public transport. There's a stop on the A1307 just opposite the campus entrance at the moment. That will, by bringing the bus directly into the campus to interface with the mobility hub, will even promote public transport more than currently available. And we're trying to create, the reason for the mobility hub, or the benefit of the mobility hub, is that it frees up the rest of the campus to be more of a human-orientated environment. So that's why that is the key interface between road-based public transport and other things within the site. There will still be a requirement for parking, and our overall mode share reduction in private car single occupant drivers is 7.5%, which we believe is achievable and reasonable.
And are you planning to do any kind of home to work transport plan?
There will be a travel plan as part of the application. Goes without saying that has to be done, and part of that will be providing residents of the campus as well as employees of the campus with options. We know that there's a lot of investment going in transport in the area. There's access to two rail stations. We've got CSET 2 and there's Park and Ride just down the road. So all of that stuff will be built into the travel plan and how we promote that to employees and residents of the site to try and enable that behaviour that we want in the future.
Okay, I can't see any further questions. So Stuart and Duncan and all of you, thank you very much indeed for coming to us. We really appreciate this, these early sights of your planning proposals, and they give us an opportunity to raise things which we know will be of concern or which we want you to be aware of. So that's really important. Thank you very much indeed. So we'll take a pause for the committee now. Thank you very much indeed, and we'll start again at item 2 on our agenda in 10 minutes, I think, if that's okay. Thank you very much indeed. So if Thank you. So we reconvene the committee on the 13th of August 2025, or rather it's restarted after a pause. Second item on the agenda is apologies. So Sarah, are you able to give us apologies?
Yes, Chair. Apologies have been received from councillors James Rickson, Dr. Lisa Redrup, Martin Khan, Ariel Khan, Dr. Richard Williams and Eileen Wilson, and councillors Henry Batchelor, Corinne Garvey and Bill Handley are attending as substitutes today.
Thank you very much to everybody who's attending. Thank you, Sarah. Item 3 is declarations of interest. So could any councillors declare if they have any declarations of interest and also identify which application their declaration relates to? Councillor Dr. Toomey Hawkins.
Thank you, Chair. I think you call it non-pecuniary, whatever. Item 7, the one at Ewood in Milton. A friend of mine is a part-time staff of Kia Motors. Thank you.
Do you?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, do you?
Thank
Vanessa,
you,
do you
Councillor
you'll need to bring your
Hawkins.
microphone closer, sorry.
Sorry. Did you declare that as a pecuniary interest?
Non-pecuniary.
Oh, non, thank you.
Yeah. So you'll be taking part in the discussion? Yes, thank you. For myself, I would like to declare an interest as local member for item 7 in Milton, and I will be speaking as local member, and Councillor Fane will take over the chair at that point. Councillor Heather Williams.
Thank you, Chair. So in relation to item 12, some of the applications are within my ward, one of which obviously I've had discussions with officers in, but it's not a decision-making item. And in relation to item 6, last time we looked at that item, I knew a member of the public gallery who I'm pretty sure is the applicant. I don't know for certain what he'll be involved in it. However, I've not had any discussion at all. It's just somebody that when we were landlords, when I had my pub, and everybody sort of knows everybody, but nothing to do with planning.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. And Councillor Peter Fane.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I hadn't noticed it before, but agenda item 11, the applicant is known to me, and there is ongoing correspondence in my role as a county councillor, not directly from me, but I'm vice chairman of the relevant committee. I don't see that as a conflict, but I thought I should declare it.
Can I just check with legal about that?
Thank you, Councillor Fane. So no involvement on the planning application.
Nothing to do with the planning application, entirely separate matter.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Somebody else. Councillor Handley.
Yes, the item 10 is actually appears to be in Long-Stanton, but I actually think it's probably creeping into my ward.
It's on the
But
edges
I haven't spoken with anyone about it. I come to it completely fresh.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Just one moment. Just one moment.
The March meeting. Councillor Hanley, may I check, item 6, do I recall that you absented before on that item?
I was present when it was discussed before.
Because I recall that I believe you'd undertaken an informal site visit and somebody had spoken to you unexpectedly.
Oh, yes, that reminds me. I'd forgotten about that.
Yes.
I did